2:20 Sandown Park is next. It is the Allied World Dragon Stakes, a listed race over the minimum. 4 juveniles. Way of Wisdom doesn't go. That was in your paper, but Charlie Appleby represented by Roussel for jockey James Doyle. 6-5 is Roussel from 11-10 after that second at Royal Ascot last time. 7-2 course and distance winner Havana Grey. Rebel Assault is 6-1. Formidable Kit 10s, 12-1 and bigger the remainder. Roussel then 6-5 for the Dragon Stakes.
Now for the first of our listed races for 2-year-olds over 5 furlongs, and we're starting with one of the 2 fillies in the event, and this is Rebel Assault for Mark Johnston.
Well-grown filly who has got some of the best form in this race, including a 5 furlong run at Musselburgh that stands out really well in the context of this race, but she has got a wide draw to overcome.
She's a little bit on her toes as well, as she has calmed down now. Behind her, following her at a distance, is number 6, and that's 2 Wafij, having his 3rd run for Roger Varian. Has
shown a lot of speed in his 2 races to date, winning on his debut in a maiden and then runner-up in a novice next time. That novice form's quite strong, but there's more to prove in this grade.
Followed by number 1, Havana Grey, who's won over this course and distance at distance level in the National Stakes already. He carries a penalty for that.
A lot went his way in that race, the National Stakes, and he was a little bit disappointing in the Norfolk next time when he couldn't lead, and he might have problems leading here, even though he's well drawn.
He's followed by number 3, and you can see that Brian Meehan, the trainer, is about to give Tom Queally the leg up on Ivy Liga, who was highly tried in his second start.
And he looks out of his depth again, really.
Short and sweet. Followed by number 5 with 2 handlers. That's Roussel for Charlie Appleby and James Doyle. This horse was second in the Windsor Castle last time we saw him.
And that's another good piece of form, and that was a big step up on his debut. I think he's got a lot going for him, really, even though he's got the worst of the draw here. He's quite a speedball, and the filly that he made pace with in the race last time has run really well since.
Followed by number 8, that's the other filly, Formidable Kit for Tom Dascombe.
Another real speedster. She's shown a lot of pace so far. She was probably undone by the draw when out of the numbers in the Queen Mary.
Followed by number 4, Last Page, who's yet to win, but a career best performance when 5th last time in the Windsor Castle.
Definitely improved on last 2 starts, but quite a bit turnaround form with Roussel, and generally more needed here.
And finally, we have Connery. He's heading out onto the walkway, and he became a bit active when Martin Dwyer got on board. This horse was 15 in the Coventry, but he's won since.
Yeah, won a novice at Bath on Wednesday. Won that pretty easily, but it was a very straightforward task.
So you've seen all 9 of them in for our second race, the Allied World Dragon Stakes, with the absence of number 7, Way of Wisdom.
There is the favourites at the moment then. That is Roussel, James Doyle on board for Charlie Appleby, and 5-4 here. Just eased out, been nibbled back. Havana Grey 3-1 from 7-2, shortening up. Rebel Assault is 6-1. Formidable Kit 10-1. There's been a bit of support for 2 Wafij as well, reflected on the exchanges, 11-1. But it's 5-4 here, Roussel.
Charlie Appleby is here, and he's got Roussel running in this listed event, and this horse ran really well at Royal Ascot, second to your stable companion with that excellent 1-2 in the Windsor Castle. Were you expecting him to run so well, Russell?
I'll be honest with you, he surprised us, because when he won at Leicester, it might not have been much strength and depth in that race, but to be fair, William said he was still very green when he hit the front. His homework had been nice from there into Ascot, but I was actually surprised just how well he did run. He's come out the race very well. You couldn't have been any happier with him. Obviously, look, in an ideal world, of course, we'd like to be drawn nearer the fence. So we've just got that wide berth to overcome. But he hits the lids well. So as I just said to James, let's just play it by ear. You know, see how you jump, and it's a great thing with James and the guys. They know the horse is there now, so they can ride their own races on them.
And you saw that what the draw can do, because of course Sound of Silence, who you won the Windsor Castle with, was drawn away from the rail when he finished behind Havana Grey here in the National Stakes.
That's right. But to be fair, that horse, I have to put a bit of a line through that. Yes, first and foremost, yes, there was the draw, but also he scoped badly that evening.
Having been 7-4 this morning, this Roussel, you'd have to say that the direction of travel has been to shorten up, and he's going to go off, I think, 11-8, having been well back, but there's no doubt there's plenty of support for the favourite Havana Grey.
Dragon Stakes. Havana Grey's the last one in. 5 furlong race, 4 2-year-olds, and they're off. From the stalls, breaking alertly, Connery towards the inside with Havana Grey. To Afij in the yellow colours. At this stage, Rousseau and Rebel Assault out wide in the centre of the racecourse as Havana Grey and Connery lead them through the first furlong. Third place for Formidable Kit in the green jacket, then to Afij on the rails last page. Rousseau is trapped out in the centre. Rebel Assault ridden more quietly, and Ivy League are the rear two. Heading down towards halfway, Havana Grey has moved over to the rails and leads by a length from Formidable Kit. Rousseau travelling strongly, making ground, blue colours in the centre of the racecourse, then Connery to Afij, hanging left-handed Rebel Assault towards the centre of the course, then last page and Ivy League. Out in front, Havana Grey still has the lead, and it's still a couple of lengths over Rousseau as they enter the final furlong. To Afij is in third place, then Formidable Kit. Havana Grey bidding to repeat the success of earlier on in the season. To Afij in the yellow, then Rousseau, but Havana Grey is going to make most here and follow up the National Stakes victory with one in the Dragon Stakes. Havana Grey won it tight for second, Rousseau and to Afij, and the three of them were a long way clear of the others, headed in by Formidable Kit.
That's how to bounce back. Havana Grey, after the disappointment of his run last time in the Norfolk, comes back to Sandown, where he won his previous listed contest, and wins another with a listed penalty on his back. And he does so having been taken on for the lead early on, and then taking over and getting that far side rail. And he puts distance between himself and the rest of the field by the furlong marker. Rousseau, who had a wide draw to contend to, and to Afij, who had an almost as wide draw to contend to, are the ones who chased him home and are gaining late, but they haven't managed to get into the race.
You can see that he's kept quite wide. To Afij is trying to tuck in at this stage behind Formidable Kit. She didn't have quite the speed of Havana Grey, even though she's looked very speedy herself. They're now all congregating over towards the rail, but the winner has got the ideal position. He's travelling really strongly. This is the point where he kicks, and Rousseau, although he's got over towards him, he's not got an answer to him.
No, not at all. And I can't see what James Dore could have done differently at all here. He's just got the worst of the draw, and he's had to deal with it. In terms of the way the race panned out, he waited on the outside when the horse broke well, and given what the horses were doing on his inside, I think he took the best of a series of bad options.
I think that's right. You have difficulty with that sort of draw, whether you use him up early on to try and go with other speedsters. If Rousseau had been the only speedball in the race, then you might have chanced it, but you're in against other really speedy horses on your inside, so you've got to be a little more patient and hope that your class is enough to get you through.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the end, he's run a really good race in second. To Afij as well, who's stepped up in grade, has acquitted himself well in third. It was just that Havana Grey, Dave, was too speedy.
Well, he's had two goes at this track. He's had the advantageous draw on both times, but he's absolutely made the most of it. So clearly the track is absolutely placed to his strength. He's totally straightforward. He's done exactly as required. And yeah, he was backed from 7-2 to 3-1 against the favourite, who had been backed through the morning and ran well. But there was a nervousness about the favourite. He was putting 11-10 and went out to 11-8 before settling at 5-4. So people were thinking that is short enough for a horse who's that badly drawn, I think. And that was the thing. They were the only two horses considered in the market. To Afij, he was fourth in, but he drifted from 8-1 out to 12-1. I think I've just seen the SP. That was a good return for each way backers and would have got 3 places. But the only two horses concerned finished second and first in terms of market order, but this horse clearly acts well on this 5 furlong Sandown track.
Very much so. He's got speed and he sees it out well, and it was a really nice performance. Not to be underestimated. I can see some advantage from the far side rail clearly, but he was still carrying a penalty, conceding weight to the entire field.
He was. That has to be his best performance there. I thought he did really well in terms of how he won the race against the quality of opponents that he had. I think this was a stronger race than the National Stakes, to be honest.
I'm going to see if I can stop PJ. PJ, if we wouldn't mind stopping on the way to the weighing room, grab you very quickly. Congratulations, back to Sandown. Another superb performance from this horse.
Yeah, he's done it very well today. The horse has kind of made a bit of a liar out of me, because I was always saying to Carl that I think he'd be better getting held up. You know what I mean? Because at home he shows an electric turn of foot. But we tried that at Ascot, and when I let him down, he just didn't pick up the way I thought was going to pick up. So good draw today, back to winning tactics, and it's worked, you know. Carl was pretty adamant that I rode him that way today. I was a little bit, but he's proved right.
And there was quite an impressive surge from him, just over a furlong out, where he really put a distance between himself and the rest.
Yeah, if you remember when I spoke to you the last day when I rode him here, I said like he will improve a little bit. He was a little bit weak at the line when I won on him in the National, and he was a lot stronger at the line today. From inside that too, I felt he picked up and galloped out through the line today, you know, which is good. So we're just going to draw a line underneath Ascot, and hopefully he can start making that progress now up into group company, you know.
Well, I mean, he's just won a listed race with the listed penalties, and so you should go to group company.
Exactly, you can't see no reason why not, so fingers crossed.
Great stuff, well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Impressive again, wasn't it, from Havana Grey back here? 3-1, PJ McDonald for Carl Burke. We just heard from PJ there, well done to him. Roussel was second, 5-4 favourite, and Tuwa Fij was third at 12-1. No distances as yet, but it was pretty comfortable from Havana Grey. Let's have a little look at the time. Time as follows. It was 1 minute, 0.59. Good looking race this. This is the Ambant Gala Stakes. All 7 go. This 325 over 10 furlongs, including last year's winner and second. Here we go then. 1 is last year's winner, Andrea Zaini. Roger Charlton, A-Rad comes out of 6. Fanciful Angel comes out of 1. Danny Muscat for Marco Botti. Out of 3, number 3, Kid Me Never, James Doyle for Charlie Appleby. Out of 4, Spark Plug, Ryan Moore for Brian Meehan. Francus comes out of stall 7, number 5, Sylvester de Souza, Mark Johnston. Isomer back off 346 days away from the track. Out of 5, Andrew Balding trains, David Probert rides, and E. Johnson Horton trains Jakes Hill, who'll come out of stall 2, ridden by Charlie Bishop.
Next we have the Ambant Gala Stakes, 10 furlong listed event, and the horse that we're looking at first is number 3, Kid Me Never. We've heard about him from Charlie Appleby. He's very hopeful that in terms of his run style and his stamina and the encouraging run last time, that he should go well here.
I think they're all positive factors, because there's not obvious pace in this race unless Francus goes on, and Kid Me Never, who travel really well in the Wolferton at Ascot, I could see him sitting handily or perhaps sitting in front and kicking 2 out, and it might well suit him this race.
Yes, those were the tactics that I intimated that Charlie intimated that they were going to follow him and James Doyle in this race, so that's Kid Me Never. And this horse is followed by the horse that won this race last year, A-Rad, who is trained by Roger Charlton, and Andrea Atzeni will be riding.
Strictly on the form of the Wolferton last time, he's entitled to beat Kid Me Never, and he was making his reappearance, whereas Kid Me Never had a couple of runs at Meydan in the early part of the year. But A-Rad did shape well, but whether he'll be so well suited by the run of this race, I think is debatable, though obviously he did win the race last year.
He's followed by number 6, Isomer, who's an interesting contender, this 3-year-old. We haven't seen him since he ran in the Vintage Stakes last July.
And that was a slightly disappointing run, and he's been off subsequently. Didn't really get the run of things. If you go back to the Chesham just over a year ago, where he was second to Churchill, he's a horse with quite a lot of potential, and quite a lot of potential as a middle-distance 3-year-old.
He's followed by number 2, Fanciful Angel, who's a 5-year-old now, getting very warm indeed. And he managed to win trying this trip for the first time last time, but that was on the all-weather.
It was on the all-weather. It was a handicap off a mark of 105, and it was a well-run handicap as well.
It was, and he is unexposed at this trip. He's followed by number 4, Sparkplug, who's also getting warm, and this horse was second in this race last year.
Warm and a bit fussy, and sort of not how you'd want to see him, really. The lack of pace here might be the problem, and the fact that they'll all congregate towards the rails, and he's got a nose like a pig for truffles where it comes to finding trouble.
Next we have Mark Johnston's winner, Francus, who's one of the 3-year-olds. And this horse you were citing as potentially a pace angle here.
Well, he's dropping back from 1.5 miles, having run in the Edward the 7th last time. I think if it was anything to do with me, I'd be making use of him, and that could be to his advantage. But on form, he's got quite a bit to find, I think.
If it's something to do with Mark Johnston and Sylvester de Souza, you think they might be inclined to go forward?
Well, I think I'm pushing at an open door by suggesting that somehow.
Indeed, but only third over the course and distance in the classic trial behind Kunko early on in the season. And finally, he's followed by number 7, which is the other 3-year-old, the one that we haven't seen yet, Jakes Hill, who's had 4 starts so far. And last time he got his head in front for the first time over this course and distance in maiden company.
He did, and he's learning all the time. And well, I'm not sure he's quite ready for this step up in trip. I would have thought you might have gone handicaps first, but it suggests bold plans for a stable that's having a tremendous season.
He was withdrawn at Royal Ascot for the going having changed since declaration.
That's interesting. I wasn't quite aware of that.
Yes. Well, yes, he was. So he's going to be facing fast ground here today anyway.
3-1 then, Arad. Kidby Never 7-2. Sparkplug 4-1. Frankus is 9-2. Fanciful Angel 15-2. 16s to 14s. Isomer. Jakes Hill 16-1. But Arad holding pretty firm here. 3-1. Let's hear what Dave Neverson thinks.
11-4 into 9-4. Arad, it's out to 3-1 now. As money comes for Kidby Never, who was very well supported, if you remember, early doors at Royal Ascot. Ended up being a drifter close to the off, but he's well supported in at 7-2. The horse that is very well supported, I don't know whether they think they're going to go out and make all with it, Frankus. He's a 9-2 chance, having been 7s this morning. Sparkplug's holding his own. I said at the start of the programme what I thought might happen with him in this small field. And Isomer held its price around double figures for most of the morning on exchanges, but now that's gone for a walk out to 14-1. I'm sure I saw 16 a second ago, but 14-1, that's very weak, but a very volatile, if slightly uninformative market, with Frankus being the one that's definitely, Frankus and Kidby Never, the 2 best backs at this stage of play.
Holding his position last year's runner-up.
He's got a good form chance if he gets the break, if the race runs to help him more than perhaps we expect, then you could see him winning, but at the same time you're prepared to let him win because of his overall record, really.
And do you think this race will be run to suit Fanciful Angel?
I'm not sure that it will necessarily. Isomer is the horse that really interests me of the outsiders.
Yeah, and he looked well in the paddock as well. Here's the centrepiece, the Gala Stakes. That's Joe and Richard.
So just about all set. Final push required for Fanciful Angel, who's not quite yet into that inside stall. Handler poised to move away. Final shove required. Gets clicked behind. So we're all set for the feature race, the Ambant Gala Stakes. Very Fanciful Angel was a little bit slow into stride. Out better include the likes of Jakes Hill, Arad and Frankus in company with Kidby Never, and they make a wave of 4 early on with a couple of lengths to Sparkplug, who shows in 5th place. Isomer is in 6th, and after braking slowly, Fanciful Angel is at the back. So out in front it is Jakes Hill with Arad pressing on to sit outside the leader in 2nd. Kidby Never in 3rd. Frankus has just dropped off the trio of leaders and was briefly shaken along for a stride or two. It's the grey in 4th place. But now the pace steadies, and all of a sudden Sparkplug, Isomer and Fanciful Angel all close up. So a definite steadying of the pace by Charles Bishop as they race down the back, accompanied by Andrea Adsani on Arad, and both of those have stepped on the brake pedal. In 3rd place we have Kidby Never. Frankus now is travelling okay, but is being forced wide as Kidby Never is flushed out by the steadying pace. And Kidby Never, I think James Doyle is going to inject some tempo here. He's going to try and get across before the bend comes, and he's accomplished it. And now with Jakes Hill, that increases the pace. Arad in 3rd. Frankus on the outside of Isomer, who shows disputing 4th place. Sparkplug and Sturt the rear, Fanciful Angel. So Kidby Never forcing Jakes Hill to work a little harder on the front end. Now taking the trail in 3rd is Arad, still in close attendance. Isomer is in 4th place with Frankus, and then Sparkplug and Fanciful Angel. So making their way up the home straight in our feature race, the Ambant Gala Stakes. Kidby Never in the blue, Jakes Hill being ridden against the rails. Arad now asked for an effort, then Frankus, Sparkplug trying to improve past Isomer, and from the back Fanciful Angel trying to get organised as well. Jakes Hill battling valiantly on the rails with Kidby Never. Sparkplug's made relentless progress. Frankus, Arad now back backing out of things, and it's Sparkplug who's moved right from the back of the field, who has moved to lead from Kid Me Never. Jakes Hill still battles on most determinedly, but inside the final furlong, it is Sparkplug for Ryan Moore, and Brian Meehan again striding up the hill. A flick of the tail. Jakes Hill and Kid Me Never have had a real set two up the home straight, but neither were a match for Sparkplug. Sparkplug won the Gala Stakes. Kid Me Never and Jakes Hill probably in that order, second and third. Franca's Arad, Fanciful Angel.
Denied last year, Sparkplug comprehensively on top this time around. Ryan Moore riding on this 4-1 shot, and that brings up the double for Brian Meehan, who just passes me now actually, and then maybe I can stop Brian quickly if I could invite him in very quickly. A quick fire double, Brian, really well done, and they got going a long way out, which might have suited your fellow.
Yeah, you know, Ryan took him up the inside there, and he got a little bit of luck coming through, but he's given him a beautiful ride. He's ridden him before a couple of years ago, and it's just so nice to see this old horse winning at this level, having won the Cambridgeshire last year, you know.
He was second in it last year.
He was, yeah, to Arad, yeah. No, but he's done it well.
First and second, and he hasn't quite delivered. So although he won sort of races in France, quite a lot of races, and race in Switzerland last year, I just wonder a little bit about him now after these two runs. Am I being unfair?
Not necessarily. I suppose the other option is that, given the way that racing is in Britain, and he shows quite a bit of pace, whether he might be worth a go at a mile even.
I think, yes, I think that might be an option, though he does eventually get past the early
I take
leader.
your point about, you know, has he only consented to go past Jakes Hill when he's already been passed by Sparkler? Equally, it could be that.
Yeah, I think we'll have another look at that later.
But Jakes Hill has run really well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, very much merited Eve Johnson-Horton's decision to run him in this race.
Absolutely. They've only ended up with third prize money. This is a race where the handicapper can take notice of what's happened.
Yes, it's
he?
not a conditions event.
No, it's a listed race, so I'm afraid his mark's going to go up. But he has shaped well, and it gives them options.
There's a bit of a flash of a tail from the winner as he was in front, but he was winning, so we're not going to criticise him too much. Just one last thought before I go to David. Isomo, if you were Andrew Balding, would you have found any encouragement from that run?
I thought there were bits of encouragement there. You'd need to go back and see how he was after the run.
Okay. Dave, how was that in the ring?
Oh, in the ring, I just think Sparkplug basically stayed static. He was...
Yep, look, he's won 4-1. Ryan Moore for Brian Meehan. Kid Me Never was second at 4-1. 1 3/4 lengths, the winning distance. Pretty comfortable in the end of the Ambant Gala Stakes. All 7 ran. Let's have a look at the time. It was 2:05.74, 0.44 seconds outside of the standard. It was the quickest furlong per furlong of the afternoon.